I'm on the title screen for SMB1, yeah.
And Naglaria's live. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I'm gonna drop out then.
Alright, hashtag Team Boom Boom.
Alright, so just like give me a countdown when you're ready to go.
Alright, I'll go ahead and excuse me. I'm gonna wait for the demo to start again so I don't get interrupted by the demo. And then I'll count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So this is Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. This is going to currently, as it stands, this will be a run of all 4 Warpless categories of all the games on the compilation, being Super Mario Bros. 1, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, Super Mario Bros. 2, and Super Mario Bros. 3. The incentive, last I checked, is about $150-ish to $200-ish short of being met, and that will change the category of this run to all games 100%, which would change Lost Levels to be D4 Warpless instead of 8-4 Warpless. And this would change Super Mario Bros. 3 from Warpless to 100%, and you want to see that, especially because the letter levels in Lost Levels are absolute insanity. They're some of the hardest 2D Mario levels that have been produced by Nintendo. So I will be playing all 4 of these games in chronological order of their Japanese release. If you are playing this run yourself, the order that the games are beaten in, you can do those in any order you want, but I'm going to be starting with SMB1 and just going in order. So I actually made a little bit of a mistake there. In Super Mario Bros. 1, you can get fireworks off the flagpole if your timer ends in 1, 3, or 6, and that's something you want to avoid if possible. There are some notable differences between the NES versions and the All-Stars versions. Because the developers had a lot more memory to work with, you'll get a lot fewer despawns than you would in the NES version, which can be both good and bad. In this case, I did not have to kill a certain Goomba in that level. One of the changes between NES and All-Stars is going to come into play in SMB1 and 2J. Because we have to wait for the countdown on the timer. This is one of the reasons why you do not see very many people run on All-Stars, is just because it's a slower version. I believe all 4 of these games are slower on this version than they are on the NES version. So the only real reason people do any runs on All-Stars is to do compilation runs such as this. So for SMB1, I'm going to be using Fire Mario strats. Fire Mario is the fastest way to run the game. Small Fire is unfortunately not a possibility because it's a glitch that's exclusive to the NES version. One of the biggest reasons why fire is so helpful is not just for piranha plants, but for these underwater levels. As you will see in Lost Levels, Blooper is a giant jerk, and Cheep Cheep is a jerk as well. Pretty much anything that you see underwater, as far as enemies go, has some element of randomness to it. All the Cheep Cheeps in SMB1 will spawn in random positions, and there is a little bit of randomness to the way the bloopers turn as well. So generally your goal in the water levels is to just get out of them without taking a hit. And more fireworks, because I don't know how to pay attention to the timer. Fireworks will be much harder to dodge in the next game, but in this game it's fairly easy. You just have to realize when you're going to be getting a 6 on the timer. If you're going to get a 1 on the timer, it's not worth slowing down, because generally each firework will cost you about a frame roll. Even though this is the SNES version, it still operates on the frame rule system. Think of the frame rule system like of a bus that comes and goes every 21 frames. The game is only capable of doing loading every 21 frames. So except for the very last level in the game, you can only gain and lose time in increments of 21 frames. I got a low Podobo spawn there. There is some variance in Podobo spawns you can get, and there are some cases where if you get low spawns, you can wind up losing fire. And not only does it cost you time in terms of getting hit, but you also have to grab power-ups again. It's very, very important to know exactly where all the power-ups are, if you're doing a Fire Mario route. That will not be the case for Lost Levels, but we're going to get to that in, I would say, 20 minutes-ish. Less than that. Hopefully less than that, anyway. I really want that star. If I don't have firepower, I'll grab the star because of Hammer Brothers. Because otherwise you can just light the Hammer Brothers on fire and they won't be an issue. So my PB in Super Mario Bros. 1 on the All-Stars version is a 2209. The record for this game on All-Stars is, I believe, 1959 by Darbian. But All-Stars isn't really his focus, as are many of the Mario runners at the very top. If you want to pick up this game, one thing you'll find surprisingly hard is what I like to call stairsing. Climbing stairs quickly is very, very difficult. Takes a lot of practice. The biggest difference between this version and the NES version is, on the NES version, piranha plants have very odd hitboxes. The only thing that hurts you in the NES version is the stem. In this version of the game, the stem and the flower will both hit you. But your fireballs also have better hitboxes, so it makes using fire to kill things a little bit less stressful. I got bad bars. All of the spawns except for the fish are based on frame rule. So if you go the same speed through every level, you'll get the same RNG. Except for Bowser. Bowser's RNG is independent of frame rule, but most of the random elements in the game are based on frame rule. So if you are practiced enough in movement that you can get to each location reliably on the same frame rule, you'll know exactly what Podobos and fire bars will do. But of course, getting to the level of consistency where you can get to the same elements of the stage on the same frame rule can be very difficult. It's something that's only truly relevant for the highest tier players of the game, and this series has a lot of runners. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Now, unfortunately, I can't take this top path quite all the way to the end of the level. Oh, nice. That ending was clean. I would say out of I didn't delay long enough. I was trying to delay a little bit longer from grabbing the flagpole so that I could avoid a 6. This is a lot of fireworks. I think I've gotten something like 18 fireworks already. That is not how this level is supposed to look. This level's actually pretty easy, I just made it look bad. "4-3 is one of the is pretty much the first like world record IL that everybody gets. 4-4 is the first of 2 maze levels in the game, where there aren't too many enemies, but you do need to take a specific path to be able to advance. In the NES version, the game does not tell you what the correct path is. Alright, Bowser, what are you gonna do? Okay, that's fine. In the All-Stars version, you can... the game will actually give you sound feedback on which way you're going. It'll tell you whether you've gone the correct way or the wrong way. Which is something we didn't have back in the 80s. That particular Bowser in 4-4 can be, it can be quite troublesome because of the fire bar and the Podobo on the bridge. And the previous runner, Blueberry, did have it easy in one way with Donkey Kong Country, because none of the games in Super Mario All-Stars have input buffers. Hey, I actually got the Hammer Brothers snipe. Nice bros. Yeah, Hammer Brothers in this game are very, very random, and they're one of the most frustrating aspects of the speedrun. So bullet bills in this game and in Lost Levels are extremely random. And you just have to deal with whichever pattern you get, and the pattern that I got was not great, that I managed to avoid getting hit. "5-4 is infamous for scaring casual players because it's the only level in the game that in this game that includes the long fire bar. Was not expecting to make that. The reason why we're fire killing Bowser on every level when possible is because when you grab the axe, the game plays an animation of the bridge falling and Bowser falling into the lava pit. It's just faster to fire kill him. So in World 6, it's pretty important that I keep firepower, because if I lose fire in 6-2, which is probably going to happen, it makes the stage significantly slower. And it's not a run until you get out of 6-2 without until you get out of 6-2 with firepower. I mean, I'll probably lose firepower in 6-4 if I don't lose it in 6-2. I didn't get the pipe jump. I don't like my routing through this level at all. I didn't commit to it. But, welcome to 6-2. People lose fire in this level all the time. It's probably the most common place in the game to lose fire. At least on the All-Stars version. But, wow, another 6 on the timer. This isn't 4th of July. But this is okay because it's very difficult to keep fire through 6-4. That's fine. There are a few random bills on 6-3, but thankfully they don't last too long. And you're about to see the reason why it's very difficult to keep fire through 6-4. This particular jump is very difficult to make big without taking damage. And depending on the bars you get in that section, that section can be terrible too. I actually got a pretty bad pattern. So World 7 is another place where runs really go to die. Because since you often lose fire coming into the stage, you have to get fire back, which is not the easiest thing to do because I think there are only a couple power-ups in this stage. And there are a lot of Hammer Brothers and a lot of Bills. And I already lost it because random Bills are one of the dumbest things about this game. Random Bills and random Bros. You will hate them both. Oh, this is a pretty bad pattern. Did I mention I hate random Bills? Thankfully, the checkpoint in this level is pretty late, so that I don't lose a ton of time dying there. Alright, there we go. At least we got fire back. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. You do go back to the beginning of the world if you take a game over, but it should be a non-issue. Now, 7-2 looks a lot like 2-2, but it's got a lot more bloopers, and it makes the level very, very different. The bloopers can't actually hurt you if you're on the ground, even if you're big, but it is much slower, so you want to minimize the amount of time that you spend on the ground, and that blooper is in a terrible spot. I almost got hit. I'm gonna try to draw this guy over here, because I'm getting that type. It is very helpful to have fire through World 8, because there are very few power-ups. I don't even know if there are any power-ups at all in 8-1. There might be one. But, I don't know if there are. I can't think of any. And I didn't really mention the flying fish levels either. Those are also random. They try to follow your speed, but in this version of the game, as long as you're running full speed, they can't catch up to you. So coming up on 7-4. Another big difference between this version of the game and the NES version of the game is the Potobos jump much higher. Which can be both good and bad. They go all the way up into the HUD in this version. I wasn't standing far enough right. So now this is going to make World 8 an issue. I'm probably going to take World 8 a lot slower than normal now, just because 8-4 small can be a real nightmare. Like, 8-4 small, and I have a history. I'll just say that. And you can see just how much slower this is without fire. I was trying to jump on top of that paratrooper, but I jumped a little bit too early. And also, once you get into World 8, there are no more checkpoints. So if you take a death, you go back to the beginning of the level. That will make it. Now, this star does take a little bit of time to get, but the reason why we get it is there are a bunch of piranha plants here. You wouldn't get this in the NES version because you would just be able to do pipe jumps, but because of the fixed piranha plant hitboxes, pipe jumps are much harder to do in this version. Needed to slow down to avoid a 6 on the clock. So we're going into 8-2 small, which is a little nerve-wracking. But there are 2 power-ups in 8-3, even if I do lose my mushroom here. There's this mushroom right here. No problem. Yep. That'll happen with some of those paratrooper patterns, so I'm gonna have to get both power-ups in 8-3 now. And unfortunately, 8-3 is full of Hammer Brothers and it's full of bullet bills, the 2 things we hate about SMB1. So if all goes well, I think this will be a 23, which is fine. Okay, that's fine, RNG. That's not good. So I'm probably gonna be small for 8-4 now. That's very not good. Okay. Not what I wanted to do. So we're small for 8-4. And there's a particular Hammer Brother at the end of 8-4 that is an absolute jerk as Small Mario. And it can be incredibly difficult to time going underneath him. So this is about a worst-case scenario for this level. So if we can just get out of this stage and move on to lost levels as quickly as possible, that would be wonderful. Sorry guys, no wall jump. But I am going to do a little trick here. This pipe here is not the pipe you're supposed to take to move on in the level, it's the next one. But because the game can only have one warp pipe loaded at a time, then the game will just put all warp pipes to the same destination. The exception to this is in warp zones. Nope, I got a bad Podobo. This is what I was afraid of happening. Like, the end of 8-4 is just a nightmare. I've had nights where I've been trying to get runs of this started and just cannot get out of 8-4 for this exact reason. Like, the end of 8-4 is just so difficult. Wow, I actually jumped over the pipe. If you're looking to pick up a Mario game, this is not a bad one to pick up, but just bear in mind that the end of this game can be frustrating. Okay, there, we got a much better pattern. Alright, 24 for SMB1's not too bad. So if you guys want to see Lost Levels in its completion, you need to get those donations in now. You have, I would say, about 25-ish minutes to get those donations in. So now we're in Lost Levels. So Lost Levels was supposed to be Super Mario Bros. 2, but this was a game that was not released stateside until we got this All-Stars compilation. The reason why is mostly Nintendo didn't think that the Western market would be interested in a game so difficult. And this game is extremely difficult, but if you can play it on the All-Stars version, it's actually pretty forgiving. One of the big reasons why is because in this game, you can actually continue... Excuse me, that jump is a 2-frame window, by the way. You can actually... if you game over, you can actually continue from the very beginning of the game, or from the very beginning of the stage you were on, instead of the beginning of the world. And there's an easy way to get unlimited lives in the very first level of the game. Which, if there is time at the end of the run, I may demonstrate it. It depends on how far we are under estimate, if we are, which we should be, because the estimate for this is pretty generous. Nice, got the super jump. So the way Mario's momentum works in this game is, instead of setting your vertical speed to a certain value like it does in SMB1 when you jump on an enemy, it adds a certain value to whatever your speed is. So if you can nick the corner of an enemy's hitbox, you can actually jump extremely high. So my PB in this category is 2440, and the world record is 2201 by Darbian. And the way the fireworks work in this game is a little bit differently as well. Instead of it just being tied to the ones digit of your timer, it's tied to the ones digit of your timer and the ones digit of your coins. If the ones digit of your timer and the ones digit of your coins match at the end of the level, you will get fireworks. Also, Lost Levels has poison mushrooms. You may have seen one of those. They won't be an issue in the speedrun, but there are these poison mushrooms that if you grab them, you will take damage. They're pretty distinct in this version of the game, but in the Famicom version of the game, they're not so distinct. So if you're not paying attention, you can very easily just pick up a mushroom and die. Out of the 4 games on the compilation, this is easily my strongest game. So I'm going to try to set up a skip here. I think I'm going to get it. Yes. Getting momentum to get up on top of that pipe is very difficult. What I did there with that jump was I saved hitting a second invisible block to get up there. And using those 2 invisible blocks to get up on top of that pipe is actually the intended way to get through. The method that I used was just a little bit faster. And you may notice that for this game, I'm not actually grabbing any power-ups. The reason why is because keeping your power-ups in this game is incredibly difficult, and for most runners of this game, it's actually faster to go through the game as Small Mario, even though it's riskier, to not pick up power-ups. Because you'll oftentimes spend more time getting powered back up than you would from dying, because you are going to die in this game a lot. To give you an idea of the difficulty of this game, it's not uncommon for your first time through the game, even if you're experienced with other Mario games, to go through over 100 lives. And again, there is a donation incentive for this game. If we can meet the $400 goal, which is actually $350, because if we reach $350, I will donate the last $50 myself after this run. We are going to extend the run to include the letter levels for this game and change the category of Super Mario Bros. 3 to 100%, which is something that you want to see. Okay, cool. I got the 3-1 super. That can be kind of an annoying super to hit. What it does is it actually saves you from having to jump on the green springboard to cross the gap. And the green springboards will send Mario several screens into the air. And they will be prevalent for a 7-4, and if we do get to showcase it, World C4. Another thing that the Lost Levels likes to do is they like to put checkpoints very late in levels, especially towards the second half of the game. I believe the only stateside release of the Famicom version is for, I believe, I think Wii and 3DS Virtual Console. I believe the first NES-based version of the game that we got was on the Game Boy Color cartridge Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, where if you did enough in that game, you could unlock a game called Super Mario Bros. For Super Players, which is actually this game with SMB1's physics, which actually does make a significant difference because there are quite a few changes. All subtle as they may be, there are quite a few changes between the physics of this game and the physics of SMB1. And this game is actually one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of ROM hacks of SMB1, is because Nintendo made this one, and this game does feel borderline ROM hack in terms of difficulty. And some of the things that the game can require you to do. So the Lost Levels run actually isn't going too bad so far, but this is the point where Lost Levels will eclipse the difficulty of the original game, starting in World 4. World 4 on has all kinds of levels that are far harder than anything that you will see in SMB1. You have one block of error to make that jump. Another thing that you might have noticed is a new element of this game is once you get into World 4, all the piranha plants turn red. Wow. I don't think that guy's ever killed me before. So what the red piranha plants do is they disobey the normal rules for piranha plants. They will only not pop out of their pipes if you're standing right above where they would pop out. The green piranha plants from SMB1 and most of the other Mario games will not pop out of their pipes if you're standing right next to the pipe. That is not the case with the red flowers. But I don't think I've ever died there before. It's a really weird place to take a death. Chalk it up to marathon luck. So the reason why we got that star was for a single piranha plant. That particular hammer brother that I just jumped over, he can be in a wide variety of positions, so you kind of just have to react to him. Alright, so 4-3. This is the first really difficult level in the game, I would say. That jump is a 2-frame window, and that's not the only one in this level. There's one more we gotta do. That's early. Oh no! Wow, I can't believe I hit that. That felt early. But the speedrun of Lost Levels is pretty much 2-frame jumps. The 2-frame jumps the speedrun. There's, I want to say, 12 of them you can go for, and I'm going to be going for most of them. So 4-4 can be a really aggravating level. I slowed down a little bit there to offset the pattern of the Bowser fire, because if you go full speed through that, the fire, and you get one of the top 2 spawns, the Bowser fire will be right on top of that platform when you try to jump to it. So slowing down a little bit to offset the Bowser fire is advised. World 5 also introduces another new mechanic to Lost Levels, which is the wind. The wind oscillates between 2 speeds that it adds to Mario's default speed. It allows him to make bigger jumps, but in certain stages in the game, well, most of the ones, the wind can activate at a really inconvenient time, and if you're not ready for it, it can throw off your timing on your jumps. There is a super jump that you can go for to get over that wall without hitting the invisible blocks, but as Mario, it's pretty difficult to make it. As Luigi, it's a lot easier. I don't think I've touched... actually, let me focus on this beginning real quick. This is kind of difficult. Okay, cool. So Luigi is an option to play as in this game. There is no 2-player mode in this game. It's just Mario and Luigi for single player. Luigi jumps about a block higher, but takes about 4 blocks more to be able to stop, so he skids like crazy. And because of the differences in strats that this causes, Mario and Luigi are actually separate categories on the leaderboards. And you may have noticed there that I just finished with a 9 on the timer. I need to focus on this jump as well. That beginning, getting up to that pipe quickly, takes a lot of practice. So the 9 on the timer and the 9 on the coins, those match, so I got 3 fireworks. If that number is odd, you will get 3. If that number is even, you will get 6. And another noteworthy thing is if your coin total is a multiple of 11, when you get the firework condition, instead of getting points off of the flagpole, you'll get a 1-up. So 5-4, this is my favorite level in the game. I had to improvise a little bit there because I got a low spawning Podobo. If you get a high spawning Podobo in that level, then you can just run straight through this level without slowing down, except for those 2 fire bars. The movement in this level is so crisp, I love it. Alright, World 6. if you approach that block, if you approach that at that invisible block at the correct pixel, you can actually do a pipe clip to get through that section instead of jumping over that tall pipe. This is one of those cases where the wind can activate at a really inconvenient time. So if you're not ready for the wind there, it's very easy for the wind, especially if you get the higher wind speed, to add enough momentum to your jump that you can just go sailing into the drink. And World 6 is also where the devs started putting checkpoints extremely late in the stage. Most of the checkpoints from here on out are going to be over 2/3 of the way through the stage, so dying around the halfway point of these levels can be extremely punishing. This right here, where those 5 coins are, that is where the checkpoint is. There's not a whole lot of this level left. Please. Alright, so 6-3. This level and I have a bit of a history, if you remember a run at a certain other marathon that I will not mention. This level and I have a pretty big history. Is you can get in real trouble if you get bad patterns from the Cheap Cheeps, but thankfully they were cooperating this time. Like, it can get really hairy really fast. But that's a good 6-3. Alright, 6-4 is a very, very tricky stage. This is another puzzle castle, where you need to go a specific way, and the best way to describe how to get through this puzzle castle is to go through the path that you would least want to take. I'm gonna do another slowdown there to offset this fireball position. Alright, I will take one shot through 6-4. That is a very treacherous level. It's probably the hardest castle in this category. World A is a bit harder. And speaking of which, if you want to see World A, you need to get those donations in now, because we're going to cut that off. We're actually going to cut that off at the start of 8-3 so that Niglaria has a chance to do one last merge. So this star right here is a little dangerous to grab, but it's actually well worth the trouble because it removes a fistful of RNG from this level. Especially the Hammer Brothers, because once you hit World 7, not only are the Hammer Brothers much more aggressive in their excuse me, their throwing patterns, but they also start charging at you. Now, this next level I'm going to have to concentrate for, because there's some very, very precise and challenging platforming. Nope. So the reason why I got killed there is because in order to actually successfully stomp that Lakitu, you need to land on the right half of his sprite. If you land on the left half of his sprite, he will actually throw a Spiny on the same frame that you kill him. Cool. That was clean. That was clean. Other than dying to that Lakitu, that's exactly what you want to do in that stage. All right, so 7-3. I'm not even gonna say anything about this level. This is a level that kind of speaks for itself. Take a look at how silly this is. Alright, that should be good to get the optimal cycle. Yeah, plenty. Cool, so that's how 7-3 should look. Alright, so 7-4. This is a castle. And it's not a fun castle. I'm not gonna go for it. Okay, cool. There's a couple cycle skips you can do in this level. I just didn't feel comfortable with the first one because of the way the fire bar was positioned. So this level is one of the reasons why I like to do this category small. Have fun getting past those fire bars big. Okay, so this Bowser is the biggest jerk in the game. Because he throws hammers so you can't jump over him, and the fire bar on the bridge is in the worst possible spot. You kind of just have to be patient and wait for the first safe opportunity. It's really frustrating. He can sit here and waste so much of your time. Okay. That's fine. He wasted quite a bit of time there, but I just wanted to get through the level. So Naglaria, I'm guessing the incentive is still not met? Because I kind of need to know soon. Like, preferably by the end of the next stage.
Yeah, we're still at 7:45, so it's gonna be all Warpless.
Gonna be Warpless, okay, thank you. So you'll get to see the reason why people don't like Warpless for SMB3, but that's quite a ways out. So these two Hammer Brothers, you kind of just have to like wait and see what they're gonna do, because they can do a variety of things, which is one of the reasons why Hammer Brothers are so frustrating in this game. There was a donation incentive. There was a donation incentive for 100 to do 100% instead of Warpless, but we would basically need somebody to drop like $200 pretty much right now. So that's not happening, unfortunately. Despawning that vine is not part of the run, but it's funny. Yeah, we're just gonna have to close it off now. Sorry for those of you that wanted to see 100%, but we're doing Warpless. So 8-3. This is a level that's very difficult to learn and very difficult to get through your first time. Oh, I just dodged two invisible poison mushroom blocks when I was jumping over those Hammer Brothers, by the way. Alright, so 8-4. This is probably the longest level in the game. It takes roughly a minute and a half. And just every room in this castle tests you. This is one of those stages that just never gets any easier. no matter how much you play the game. This castle is tough the first day you play it, and it's tough the last day you play it. This in particular is pretty frightening, because you need to run underneath that one block platform where the big fire bar is, and that jump can be really aggravating to learn. I didn't get the frames. Thankfully, that's one that doesn't actually cost that much time if you miss. So 8-4 has actually a fake Bowser, and then here we see Bowser again. Alright, so that is Lost Levels. Now we're going to move on to Mario 2. So Mario 2 is probably my weakest game in this series. It plays very differently from the rest of the games. I forget what my exact personal best and the world record is in this game. I know the world record is in like the low to mid 20s, and I have a 33 something in this game. So what makes this game different is that you have 4 characters to choose from, and each of them gets their use in the speedrun. I'm going to be using a slight variation on the world record route, and there's already a variation in this stage. Little hiccup there. So every character has a different speed, strength, jump height, and so forth. And we do have each stage carefully routed in terms of character selection. One nice difference between this version and the NES version is that you can actually reselect your character if you take a death. And casually, lives aren't an issue in this game. But dying can be a threat in this game because some of the platforming can be pretty difficult, and you can't really get power-ups, or not power-ups, but get health back in this game without wasting time generally because of the way health drops spawn. You'll get a health drop for every 5 enemies that you kill. And generally, we don't want to go out of our way to kill enemies because, well, that wastes time. So for most of the levels in the game, you're going to see Toad used. We use Luigi when we need his jump height or his fluttering, and this is actually the game where Luigi's flutter jump came from. And in this stage, you're going to see the reason why we use Toad. Whenever Toad is carrying a heavy object, he runs very, very quickly. Can I find the pixel, please? Thank you. So some of the levels in this game are locked by keys, and when you grab a key, Phanto will chase you. Usually you can outrun him, but there is one instance where I'll probably need to set the key down to avoid taking damage. And in the third stage of every world, there will be a boss fight. Thankfully, the first fight against Mauser isn't too hard. It can be a little nerve-wracking if you're small. Okay, that was clean. That was a good fight. Now for World 2, we're going to be using Toad for every stage because of how flat these levels are. All of the characters dig at the same speed, and these digging sections are actually some of the most difficult parts of the game to do quickly, because there is a rhythm to the digging. And you might notice that I'm digging in these diagonal patterns. That is because whenever an enemy lands on a lower surface, it will change direction to face whatever direction it'll face towards you, essentially. So in order to fool the game, or to fool the enemies into going the other direction, you actually need to make sure that they land on a platform that's higher than you are. And that's going to be a constant issue in the next 2 levels. One thing we're also going to be taking advantage of is the way invincibility spawns in this game. Is if you collect 5 cherries in one stage, a star will spawn. I unfortunately spawned that a little bit too early. So I'm probably gonna end up dying here. Oh wow, I got lucky. That Sniffit is a jerk. So you're about to see the power of mushroom blocks with Toad. If I can execute properly. Which, when does that ever happen in a speedrun? Please. This is not difficult. That was a pretty sloppy ending to that level. So generally what you want to do for any stage that you play as Toad is find the first heavy object in the level, which is usually an enemy, grab it, and just hold on to it until you get to a door or something. And this speed is much faster than any of the speed that you can get in most of the other Mario games, so it can be a bit difficult adapting, especially if you're used to other games in the series. Thankfully, Phanto isn't quite fast enough to chase us down here, because trying to dig out the key from a stage like that would be pretty difficult if you have to set it down in the middle of the sand. Thankfully, Triclyde isn't too much of a threat this time. He will be when we fight him again later in World 6. That's fine. That fight's absolutely fine. So World 3 is going to show our first use of Peach. What makes Peach so special is even though she has the lowest strength and the shortest jump, she can hover if you hold the jump button. And that is going to be used to cut out a pretty big section of the second half of this level, after this fight. There's a nice developer-intended shortcut. Now, Luigi can make that jump as well, but Luigi's flutter actually makes the first half of that level much slower, which is why Peach is used here. Whoops. That was slow. So where Peach really shines with her hover is in this level. There's a whole bunch of stuff in this level, or a whole bunch of shortcuts that you can take in this level that she is the only character that can make them. I'm gonna draw Astro over here real quick. Since Peach can hover over this gap, and then there's another gap that's actually too wide for Luigi to make. Those two gaps cut out, I would say, about 40% of the level. And the parts of the level it cuts out are really obnoxious, too. Another thing that's noteworthy about Peach in particular is when she is picking up an object, well, not just her, but any character. But when you're picking up an object, as long as you're in the animation of lifting, you're actually invincible, so you can use that to pretty much phase through fireballs. This stage coming up, 3-3, is the only stage where Mario gets used. We're going to use Mario's jump height. Luigi has a higher jump height, but is much slower for this level. But we're going to take advantage of Mario's jump height in this level to do a little bit of a sequence break. I actually just passed by a locked door. Just off the screen, about a tile off of the screen there is a locked door that you normally need to get a key from a room that takes a very long time to traverse, both up and down. But with Mario's jump height and a little assistance from the Ninja there, we can actually get on the other side of that locked door without obtaining the key. Now this room, I don't really have a good way to deal with this room, so I kind of just wait for the first cycle of sparks there. You can do that skip with Luigi, but Luigi's fluttering makes this section significantly slower than as Mario. Plus, we want to give Mario a little bit of love in this game, as much as the other characters shine. After all, it is called Super Mario Brothers. So Mauser here is a little bit buffer than in the other worlds. Oh, nice! I got the hit. So I think I can make the fast cycle. I did. Cool. That's a perfect fight. I was supposed to grab that flurry. There we go. This might make the end of the level a little scary. So 4-1 is one of the few levels that actually doesn't have a Birdo guarding the crystal orb needed to open the mask. But there's some pretty precarious platforming towards the end of this level that can be a real hassle, like getting around that Shy Guy. That's fine. Now, for this next level, you would use Toad for a world record attempt, but I'm going to be using Peach because it gives you a little bit more reaction time to be able to deal with all the Bezos that are coming at you at full speed. And it helps with the second half as well. How did I not take damage there? That was silly. Yeah, Peach's hover makes this this part of the stage significantly faster. I can't pick up any more cherries until I get into the next section. Okay, we're fine. So, one thing that's unique about the Birdo in this stage is, instead of throwing eggs back at him, we're actually going to do a star kill. If I can make it there quickly enough. Cool. It's a little tight, but you can get over there and star kill Birdo instead of throwing 3 eggs at him. So 4-3 has another use of Luigi's flutter jump to perform a major skip. I bet everybody their first time playing the game just like killed this Birdo because they thought it would give them the way out of the level, but no, you actually need to use Birdo's egg to be able to get across that gap. There is no other way to get there. So that flutter jump that we just did there, that cuts out pretty much the entire level. This level's very short. Unfortunately, it has by far the worst boss in the game, Fry Guy. When you play this game, speedrunning or not, you will find that Fry Guy is a big jerk. Alright, this setup's fine. Cool, that was a clean fight. That fight can get out of hand very fast. And we're still on 5 lives, which is pretty extraordinary. World 5 is where the game starts to increase in difficulty. There's some pretty tough jumps in this level in particular. And up here is the second 1-up mushroom that we're going to get. I probably don't need to get that, but I will for safety, just because the end of this game can be pretty treacherous, especially like 5-3. 5-3 is such a mess. And also, at this point in the game, most of the Birdos will spit only fire, so you'll need to use mushroom blocks. 5-2 is another level where the world record route uses Toad, but I'm going to be using Luigi, and it will be for a specific segment towards the end of the level. Excuse me. It's useful for this section. You might notice I'm just doing these vine jumps from time to time. You can do those vine jumps with any character. For most characters, there is a 2-frame window where the game considers you on the ground as after you leave a vine. For Luigi, it's 8 frames. So you'll see top runners scale those 2 vines very quickly with Toad. But most people who run the game need to use Luigi to do it. I don't even have to say it, I just have to think, don't troll me, Birdo. But now that we're through the part that I actually wanted Luigi for, I can just take advantage of Toad's high strength to be able to dispatch Birdo very quickly. Please. So 5-3 is one of the longest stages in the game, and it's one of the most difficult as well. I want that star. It's probably slower to pick it up now, but the reason why we want the star is to deal with these bombs here. And if we don't die, we should actually be able to set up a heart drop at the end of this level. Which I would prefer to do because there are a couple places where it's very common to get hit. That Panzer is a jerk, by the way. Can I please do my that sequence break that I'm doing there saves something like 5 screen transitions, and it can be pretty frustrating. Can you please get down there? So now I'm not going to have my heart drop set up. Late. If you clash those two Pidgeots into each other, you can get super speed with the carpet. And there's the heart drop I was talking about. So that'll help a little bit for Cloglip. So what I'm trying to do against Cloglip is I want to try to backboard one of his projectiles off of the back wall and get it to hit him multiple times like that. Two cycles fine. The best runners can one cycle Cloglip, but it's pretty difficult to do. And we're in good shape on lives too. Sven would not be very impressed with me right now. This is the last time we have to deal with a digging section, thankfully. And this is one of two instances where we're going to need to set the key down to keep Phanto out of the way. not mean to pick up that mushroom block. So now, if you're a top tier runner, you would actually just do precarious jumps all the way over the stage, but because I am not a top tier runner of Super Mario Bros. 2, we're just going to take Albatross Airlines across this stage. It's a slow but reliable way to get through this stage. And that Birdo fight can be pretty precarious as well. Sorry guys, no potion jump. I'm not consistent enough at the potion jump to try to go for it in a setting like this. It doesn't save that much time, and it looks cool, but I'm just not consistent at it yet. That's what Birdo fights are supposed to look like, where you just get all 3 hits, bam, bam, bam. So this is Triclide 2. There are a couple of fast strats to do this, but the only real reliable way to kill him safely is to stack up 3 mushroom blocks like that. Like, that's definitely the recommended way to kill him, especially if it's your first time through the game. Alright, we're at World 7. World 7 only has 2 stages, but they're both pretty long, especially 7-2. Wart's Castle is huge. I'm dead. Because I did not... Yeah. Because apparently I don't know how to land on one block wide platforms today. What you're supposed to do there is you're supposed to go to the end of the level, open a door to get a mushroom, and then you'll get an albatross to take you all the way back, but that's not necessary. I am so tired of despawning that guy. You actually need that sniffet to be able to make it over that pillar, otherwise you have to do a whole bunch of running around that's not fun. But overall, this run is going really, really well. But that can all change with SMB3. And lives won't be a concern. We have plenty of lives for this stage. 2 is more than enough. Okay, maybe not. I really should be careful. Yeah. I'm gonna take this safe, because I'm down to my last life, and if I game over, I have to go back to 7-1. So this is not the route that the record path takes, The reason why we're going the bottom route is it's a little bit easier, and there's a mushroom that's kind of on the way. This is the only time that you're going to see me grab a health up mushroom. This doesn't take very long to get. It takes about 10 seconds, and it helps a lot with the end of the stage. Because there are a lot of parts in the stage where being small can be a real detriment. The only, like, super tricky room that you have to travel going through the bottom path is this one. Oh, this skip's neat. That's not how it's supposed to look, by the way. You're supposed to, like, duck and jump, and if you duck and jump, you can skip that Birdo without taking damage. We should be home free now. I just have to kill this mask and then... wart. Wow, I can't believe I missed. That's very uncharacteristic. This guy is free. Alright, on to wart. Too early. If you do throw the vegetables into the spheres the spheres of water that wart throws out, then the hit won't count. Like that. There we go. Alright. Done with SMB2. Wow, like, if I have a decent SMB3, this is gonna be way underestimate. I'm sorry for giving such a generous estimate, but, like, we are way ahead of pace. Anyway, on to Mario 3. So Mario 3 is the longest game of the three. My personal best in Warpless is 1 hour, 3 minutes, 57 seconds. And the world record, I believe, is 50:57 by either Crew or Mitch has it. So one of the goals of Super Mario Bros. 3 speedrunning is getting through levels while maintaining P speed as much as possible. So you'll see above the score a P meter with 6 arrows. You're going to be running at the fastest speed possible when that P meter is full. So most of the stages you want to try to get running speed and maintain it as long as possible. Now, while we can't use the warp whistles because this is warpless, there's nothing stopping us from obtaining them if it's faster to do so, which in that case it is. Wow, how did I not clip into that corner and just take damage? The other thing that you're going to see me do is I'll be delaying every third stage on the card at the end, because we want to avoid getting 3 of the same card in a row. Getting 3 of the same card in a row will cause a celebratory animation to play, as the game gives us multiple 1-ups. That's something we don't want because it slows us down. We're speedrunners, we ain't got time to celebrate. So one of the reasons why I have a tail for this level is because there's a little shortcut I can take if I can get P-speed here, which unfortunately I didn't. What I wanted to do was get P-speed in that section so that I could actually fly over this part, which does end up saving about 7 seconds. One of the few advantages of Warpless over 100% is you don't have to do nearly as many auto-scrollers. But unfortunately, because of overworld hammer bro luck, there is a lot of very frustrating RNG in Warpless. Come on, I would like to get lives, please. I have nothing better to do in this level. Only got 2. If you can get 6 or more in this airship, you're the king of swag. I mean, because it's an auto-scroller, we need to find things to do, so it's just fun to collect points and 1-ups. Just do what you can to swag out without wasting time. But I do apologize in advance to the next runner that's up, because this run is going to be way underestimate. Like, my estimate for this was way too generous. Remember, Raikou, this isn't randomizer. So while there's not a lot going on in these next couple stages, I want to plug a couple of things that have been going on in the SMB community. If you're interested in this game and the other games in this series, there are a couple of applications that have been developed by members of the community. Specifically, Tetrally and F. Coughlin have developed randomizers for Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3. And both of them are a lot of fun to play, especially the Super Mario Bros. 3 one. Not too long ago, we had a tournament for the Mario 3 randomizer. I didn't make the door cycle. So one of the reasons why Warpless can be a very frustrating category to run is there's a thing called early hammer. Which I did not get. The way the Hammer Brothers work on the map is they start in fixed spots, but they will move randomly after every map encounter, whether it be with a stage or a Hammer Brother. And if you're lucky enough to be able to get it was unfortunate. I was standing on the wrong side. If you get a Hammer Brother that normally spawns on the right side to move to the left of 2-3, you can kill him and get his hammer and use that hammer on the boulder that's on this world map to skip 3 stages. Unfortunately, the probability of early hammer is pretty low. My 100% PB has early hammer, which it's completely useless in 100% because you have to do all the levels anyway. Oh, I have 2 stars. But I do need to pick up the hammer regardless. For rockin', I think World 4, we need that hammer. I'm gonna have to stop to get a power-up, because I don't have a leaf. And it's highly, highly recommended to have a leaf for the pyramid. There are some general rules that have been... general rules of Mario that have been changed for SMB3. One of them is if you kick a Koopa shell into a wall, you will not be harmed by it if you're 1 tile or less away from the wall that you kick it into. But yes, yes, Kevab is correct. It does skip a castle in World 4. I wonder how many times I'm going to try to break down a locked door with a hammer, because that's something that you can do in Randomizer. Somebody can correct me on this. I don't remember who has the world record for all games Warpless. I think it's a Japanese runner, but it's something like 201. I want to say is the record. But it's just hard to find people that can play all 4 of these games at such a top level, just because other than 1 and 2J, all these games play very differently, and even 1 and 2J have some subtle differences that can impact how you play. Wow, I am playing like an idiot. This airship. Who gets hit? Who dies to an airship? Like, who dies to an airship? Coming in here with full power up, getting hit 4 times. 4 times! I'm pretty sure, like... I'm pretty sure Oglib would be screaming at me right now if he was watching this. For trying to swag too hard. So that was a bit of a silly and unfortunate time loss, but we're still in here. That's I want to say that's probably the first major mistake I've made in this entire run. Like, there haven't really been any train wreck levels until now. Which I'm very happy with, given that we're over an hour and a half into this run. So the items in this world are going to end up being very important. The two Hammer Brother items. And we need, there's a cloud that we need to pick up. And because of the way the bridges work in this level, we do need to kill both of the Hammer Brothers. And hopefully the one that has the cloud doesn't wind up going behind 7 again. Because that would be a big time loss with nothing I could do about it. I'm gonna get a fire flower, actually. Because I don't have a leaf for this level, I am actually gonna have to ride this platform, unfortunately. There's a bunch of extremely silly cheap jumps you can do in this stage to be able to make it go significantly faster. That recovery. So 3-3 is our first appearance of Boss Bass. Hopefully he will not be an issue. Cleared it. Cool. I really like the movement in that level too. The movement feels really crisp. But no one likes the big fish. The reason why Boss Bass is so feared is because he is the only thing in this game other than falling into a pit that can kill you when you're fully powered up. Okay, it doesn't look like he's gonna go the wrong way. Yeah, there's a hammer here that we're gonna use in, I think, 6. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere ugly. I got 2 stars. That's not good. I need to make sure to not get a star on the next level. So we need to get these guys. We need to get this guy's cloud and then use it in the next level. Or not in the next level. We're gonna use the. We're gonna use oh, not that. Well, whatever. Whatever. We have a cloud. That's what matters. We have this cloud that we need to use to skip this level because 3-6 is an auto-scroller. And because of this, it's very, very important that I do not die. So I'm actually going to take my time, get rid of the big fish, and hopefully he will not be an issue. I almost missed that jump, and that probably would have killed me. Alright, we're home free now. Because if you cloud past a level and then you die in the next one, you have to do the level that you skipped. Alright, so we're out of there. I do want to pick up this leaf, though, for... I said I wanted to pick up a leaf. I mean, I guess I can get one in World 4. Yeah, I can get a leaf in 4. That's fine. And a leaf would have been helpful for Wendy, because Wendy is a jerk. And if I had a tail, I could get a couple one-ups here, too. A lot of these ways to get one-ups are actually in the official guide as well, which is something I still have. I think I actually have 2 copies of the official guide for whatever reason. I think I had one, and then one of my relatives had one. So this airship's also your first real introduction to Rocky Wrench. Now, for Wendy, I actually need to make sure that she moves as little as possible, because when there are 3 rings of candy bouncing around that arena, it can get really hazardous. And that is the first boss that really, really walls people. Anybody who has played Rando will know that Wendy with earthquakes in an uneven arena as your first world is just awful. So we are moving on to Giant Land, which is one of the coolest worlds in the game, casually. And it's got some nice tech in the run as well. No waterfall jump. That probably wasn't necessary, but I wanted to make sure I didn't fall. One thing you'll also notice compared to the other Mario games is that the levels in this game are fairly short, but they also have no checkpoints. If you get killed in a level, you have to redo the entire level. Did I mention I am very happy there's no big fish in this level, because the big fish in this level would not be fun. Alright, well, this is going to make the start of 4-3 fun, because this is one of those levels where you really, really want to have a leaf. And I don't have one. I might end up using a star here, actually, for the beginning. Yeah. I just need to make sure to have one left for the end of the game. This is awkward. Can I please get my Y position reset? Thank you. In a lot of levels, until you get P speed, the game will lock your Y position as far as the camera goes. So in that stage, if you don't reset the Y position, it can be pretty awkward. So coming up in this stage, you're about to see one of the differences between NES and SNES. The water level at the start of 4.4 is a little bit higher in the NES version, which makes it much more difficult to do what I like to call Lakitu skip, which is what you saw, to get over that wall. So you don't have to dive all the way down to the bottom of the pool and then all the way back up, and it saves a significant amount of time. I need the P-Wing and the, like, all the items here are valuable. Even the star. We're gonna use that later. Oh, come on. Can you, like, stop with the long hammer dances, please? You can get really long hammer dances in this world and in 6, and it can be really frustrating. The long hammer dances are even an issue in 100%. Okay, cool. I didn't get 3 stars. I was a little worried I was going to get 3 stars there. And there's the P-Wing, which we're gonna need, and we're gonna need those for, I think, 7? There's a couple levels in 7 that we use one. That movement felt clean. So, who's ready for a 2.5-minute auto-scroller? And, like, unfortunately, in this stage, there's just nothing to do, because there's no enemies other than a single Rocky Wrench. It's something like 30 thrusters. So, if there are any donations to be read, this airship would be an absolutely fantastic time to do so, because there is nothing to do here. If you don't have any donations, then I can talk about some of the other mechanics of this game I have not covered. So one thing that we're trying to avoid in this run is in Worlds 1, 3, 5, and 6, there's a possibility that you can get a coin ship. There are 3 conditions for a coin ship to appear. And it's very similar to the flagpole conditions for getting 1-ups in Lost Levels. If at the end of a stage, you'll need to get the coin ship to appear, you'll need your coin total to be a multiple of 11. You'll need the 10s digit of your score to match that multiple of 11, and the timer must stop on an even number. If all 3 of those conditions are fulfilled, then one of the Hammer Brothers on the overworld map will turn into a coin ship, which is about a minute or so time loss. And this only works in Worlds 1, 3, 5, and 6. because the coin ships can only become, or rather, only the regular Hammer Brothers in the game can be turned into coin ships. Not Boomerang Bros, not Sledge Bros, just the regular Hammer Bros. And for those of you asking, I do see some questions in chat about what got me into speedrunning this game. The reason why I started speedrunning this game is because this was the very first video game I ever touched. And then running this game made me want to run the rest of the series. At least the classic series with 1, 2, 3, and 2J. But now that we're out of Auto-Scroller Alley, we can get back to some fun platforming. You might also notice that whenever I'm hovering with the tail, I try to stagger it instead of just mashing, because if you just mash, you'll descend slower, but you'll also lose forward momentum. The very first game I actually speedran was Donkey Kong Country 3. I don't know why I didn't slide on those slopes, because butt sliding is actually the fastest way to move in this game. It's even faster than your regular P-speed. No, I'm not gonna grab it. I was thinking about grabbing a Tanuki for something in World 7, but I'm not going to. Because even with a leaf, it shouldn't take me too long to do that. When done optimally, the movement through that level is so crisp, but I really want to try to conserve my leaf, because I'm going to want it for a lot of stages in the second half of World 5. You know, Top Hammer Bro, if you could stay on... Ugh. Please. Wow, that could have been really bad. Of course not. Of course you're gonna go to the other side. Because there's an item I need from this guy. I think it's like a P-wing or a cloud. It's one of the two. But I need that item for something later. So much map movement. I didn't duck in time. That's okay, though, because I can pick up a leaf at the start of the next level. So this tower is unique in that it's the only... in that it's a level that comes out of a pipe, so it has to be specially programmed in the game. I do need a leaf to take a shortcut in the next level, though, so I'm going to try to hang on to it. Did not want to fall there. Well, if you have to pick a location to fall, that's a pretty good place for this level, because it's one of two places you can actually miss a jump and not die. There's a lot of that in the Sky World. So this is the reason why it's so important for me to have a leaf for this level. Because not only can you pick up a Tanuki here if you need to, this cuts out most of the stage. So 5, 6 is an auto-scroller. We're not going to do it. We're just going to go straight to 7. 7 is one of those stages where if you're playing the game casually, you'll want to consider using a star at the start of the stage, because there are a whole bunch of blocks that, if you're invincible, will contain stars. But there is no star that's actually native to this level, so you need to use one out of your inventory to take advantage of that. Alright, so 5 F2 can be a real mess. This is one of those stages that is extremely frightening to learn. Because if you ever slow down anywhere, then the stage gets to be a real mess. What was my time at the end of 123? Okay, so I think if I end up with an overall time of 2:26xx or better for all stars, then this is a Warpless PB. So 5-9 is a diagonal auto-scroller. We don't feel like doing auto-scrollers, so we're just gonna skip it. So this level has a section that's infamously known as the Gauntlet, thanks to the official player's guide. Hopefully we'll be able to get on top of that, because it's one of the most treacherous sections of any airship in this game. This section right here, there are just cannonballs firing everywhere. So the best way to take out the earthquaking Koopalings is you want to jump right before they hit the ground. And World 6 and 7 are where we're going to start using a lot of our hammers. That was a little sloppy, but whatever. And then we'll get one more hammer that we're going to use in 6. We're going to use it to skip one level later. And thankfully the level that we skip that way is an auto-scroller. Alright. Time to show how good a masher I am. If you're doing a randomizer run, that's mandatory, by the way. Kappa. Alright. Star kill, please. Nope. The star kill on Boom Boom in this level is very, very tight. So it's easy to miss the star by going too early. Okay, cool. That Fire Chomp can be a bit of a nuisance. This is World 6 is where you're going to first start running into Fire Chomps in the speedrun. 6-6 is an underwater level and it's long. We don't want to do it. So we're going to do 6-5. 6-5 is a level pretty infamous for stumping casual players on how to complete it. The way through this level is very unintuitive. To complete this level, you actually have to fly up with a shell. And another big reason why we're doing 5 instead of 6, besides just the length, is it gets us access to this Toad House. And what we're going to do here is we're going to pick up our hammer suit. This is a slower but safer alternative to picking up a hammer suit in World 7. And that's the cloud I wanted. So now we'll use our last hammer on this boulder to skip 7, which is an auto-scroller. Not gonna go for 6F2 fly, sorry. 6F2 fly is a very difficult trick that saves a little bit of time in this level, and if you screw it up, you die. I jumped too early. But I love this game. This game is timeless. This is the game. This is a game that this was a system seller, honestly. I want to say there was an NES bundle with this game. That's no big deal, actually. Because I need to use a P-Wing for 6-9 anyway. Please. Well, this level just got sloppy. But just getting hit in this level in general is not a big deal, because, like I said, 6-9 we're going to be making use of the P-Wing. And this is why. See you later, 6-9. 6F3 can be a real bear, too. World 6 is the only world in the game that has 3 fortresses. And they're all pretty hard. But especially this one. Every single enemy in this stage is invincible. With exception of Boom Boom, of course. But in the main stage, every single enemy is invincible. It's still not the hardest fortress in the game. The hardest fortress in the game we're skipping. Yeah, exactly. Clouding that level is actually slower than clouding 8F, but 7F2 is a much harder level. There's also a Warpless route. There's also a Warpless route that clouds 7-9. But that route is primarily used if you don't know how to clip, which I'm not going to be clipping through 7-9, but I'm going to be just doing that level with a leaf. It's not too much slower than doing the clips, and I want to save my cloud for some levels that are a little bit more challenging. And I should be able to get through 7F2. You know, since I have a star, I might just do 7F2 and Cloud 8F anyway, because it's really the first half of it that's dangerous. I'll have to see what my inventory situation is like, because I'm not quite as familiar with the inventory route for this category as I am for 100%. The reason why I was thinking about grabbing a Tanuki earlier is I was thinking about taking an intentional hit at the end of Lemmy, so that I can be big instead of having a leaf for 7-1. Because 7-1 clip is gonna... 7-1 clip is gonna be a lot harder with a leaf. 7-6 we can P-Wing over. But 7-1 we can't. So let's see how many tries it takes me to do this clip. I'm getting the right angle, I'm just not hitting the subpixel. There we go. That wasn't too bad. That was, I think, 8th try. You can try that like 13 or 14 times before it becomes slower than doing the level. But that wasn't too bad, honestly. Like, that clip can be really finicky. But the reason why it's so important to have a leaf will be evident for this level. You need a leaf to be able to clear that gap. Otherwise you're going to need to make a note block bridge, which is very slow. That might be an issue, actually. 'Cause I don't know if I can get a leaf anywhere in 7-3. I'll have to see. I can't remember if I can get a leaf in 7-3 or not. I'll probably check the I don't remember like half of the power-up blocks in vanilla anymore because I've been playing so much randomizer recently. What's vanilla? Hello? Oh, it's a flower. Wait, this is Warpless. What do I need a leaf? Well, I guess I need a leaf for... I could just use a P-Wing. I think I have one extra P-Wing in Warpless that I can just use anywhere. But we are not doing that level. That level's an underwater auto-scroller, and it's terrible. Yeah, I have P-Wings to throw around. I'm just gonna P-Wing this level and then P-Wing the next one. Because I have a lot of extra P-Wings to spare in this route. Especially since I don't use one in 7-1 now that I know how to clip. Alright, so this is another level where I could clip, but... thankfully this particular level, you can actually just fly over. And see you later, 7-6. Which, it's kind of a shame, too, because 7-6 is actually a pretty interesting stage. Seven Six has a lot of mechanics that aren't used in any other stage in the game. How many people got stuck on that growing up? Alright, so the reason why we did 7-7, even though it's a little bit longer stage, is because 7-8's terrible. I think I'm just gonna do the stage without a P-Wing, because I want to have one for 8-1, since 8-1 is an awful stage. And then, of course, the Air Force in 8, because both of those stages are just awful. So this stage is a bit long, and if I had another P-Wing that I could get, I would probably use it here. But there's just not enough P-Wings in the route that I can use one here. And see you later, 7F2. No one likes you. I do like that the music box is actually useful at one part of the run, to put that Piranha Plant to sleep. Because the only thing that Piranha Plant gives you is a mushroom, and it's just way too late in the run for that. Should be able to pick up a leaf at the start of this level, so the end of it shouldn't be too terribly scary. Oh wait, no, this is... these are both fire flowers. Been playing way too much randomizer. But I think both of the power-ups in this stage are fire flowers, which is going to make the platforming at the end a little hairy. But it's still not as bad as 8 Air Force. And we're coming up on the final Koopaling, Ludwig. Thankfully, when you know what you're doing, the fact that these earthquakes actually makes this much easier. So, unfortunately, World 8 is a whole bunch of auto-scrollers. Oh yeah, guys, we're coming up, after these two auto-scrollers, we're coming up on hands. Anybody want to put in their guesses for how many hands I'm going to get? It's a number between 0 and 3. We want 0. Did I get 200 from that? Wow, what a ninja that boomerang bro was. He jumped over my tail. I think I have a couple stars left, so I'm probably going to use one before the hands. Because I don't know what hand I'm going to get, and then if I get a leaf, I'm probably just going to use it immediately. It depends on which hand I get. If I get hand 3, then there's no point, because I'm going to P-wing the Air Force anyway. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna pop a star here. Oh, of course, first hand. So we're getting at least one. I have 4 stars, I can pop another one. Oh, I only got one. One hand. That's pretty good RNG, actually. Forget this level. This level's terrifying. Alright, I didn't waste too much time getting back down, at least. Probably wasted more time jumping over Boom Boom than getting in the pipe. Alright, so our last P-Wing is getting used in this stage. Because this is a very terrifying stage. It's not great conservation of momentum, but whatever. I just went out of this level. Not too much more of the game to go, actually. We've just got 4 stages. We have this stage, a fortress, another auto-scroller, and then Bowser's Castle. Got the door! That is the first time I have ever made that door cycle. Somebody clip that. That saves so much time, making that door. Like, the timing on that, making that door off that first P-switch is really, really tight. I probably only made that by frames. So that's it. We just have one more stage to go. We're going to use a star and that hammer suit that we got back in World 6. And go into Bowser's Castle. So the reason why we got that hammer suit is it saves a lot of time on the Bowser fight. Because Bowser normally takes 32... Wow, why am I having so much trouble with the everyman clip? Anybody can do that. So Bowser takes 32 fireballs to kill, but hammers damage him every frame, and they go through him. So you're dealing a lot of damage very quickly. By the way, Naglaria, get ready on time. It's coming up soon. It's when I go through the door. So that's how quickly Bowser dies. I'm really impressed with this run. This is going to be a Warpless PD by a long shot. Time.
2:27:53.
Wow! Wow, that's really... I'm really, really happy with that. I am so sorry that I gave such a high conservative estimate. I am really, really impressed with that time. So that's Super Mario All-Stars, All Games Warpless. If you like watching Mario, you like watching DKC, and you like watching randomizers, that's pretty much what I stream. So thanks for having me, and good luck on the rest of the marathon, and good luck to all the upcoming runners.